Hello all, welcome back. We are back with Championship once more. The club stuff, you can't beat it. We love the boys that represent our county, but the club stuff just feels that little bit different. I think there's more people involved, there's more of a graph for it. We're all excited no matter what the code is, whether it's hurling, camogie, football, ladies football. We're absolutely delighted to have it back. Mad to have it back so early as well, just with the restructure of the Championship. The last couple of years have been, I suppose, all over the gaff with COVID and all. We're getting used to different formats, but kind of the same format in terms of hurling being played first, but just the actual format in terms of the time of year and the overall structure between club and county stuff. We're delighted to be back. We are going to talk a bit about county stuff before we delve into the club stuff, which actually got underway over the weekend just gone with the Junior Hurling Championship. And we'll be previewing Junior, Intermediate, and Senior Club Hurling Championship games next weekend, among several other things. Delighted to say we've had a few sponsors on board for the Club Hurling Championship. DB Recovery, thanks once again to them. If you're feeling a little bit sore after a match or whatever, maybe you want to get right for a game, check them out. Brendan Kavanagh Furniture, kitchen, units, any sort of a job. Brendan Kavanagh is your man, based on around the St. Mullins direction. Corcoran Precast, thanks, have been great to us since we actually started the podcast, which hard to believe is over 2 years ago now. We thank them for their continued support. Breege, Nolan, Physiotherapy. Again, thanks to Breege. She sponsored us earlier in the year. She's coming on board with us for the Championship as well. And Craig Kearney Web Design. Craig Kearney has designed us a very nice website, which is about to launch in the next few days. So not only will you be getting all the best live video content with a little bit of analysis at different points, audio content, which we've been giving you for the last 2 years, we're now going to introduce some written content. So if we get a bit of time, we might transcribe some of these tasty quotes that Mr. Joe Nolan and Stevie Bambrick and all our guests are going to actually deliver to us on a weekly basis over the next 7 or 8 weeks or so. In addition to a few other features, we'll have teams of the week and different things like that. So I'm delighted to bring that to you. And thanks once again to all our sponsors for coming on board. There is a couple of spaces left there still if you want to come on board. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. Without that, the podcast simply doesn't work. We have lots of bills to pay. Hosting for going live on this, hosting for the audio, all these different things add up. And it's nice to see that people see the value in the service that you provide, because we feel it's a good one here on the podcast, and we are delighted to bring it there. We're passionate about it, and drive it on, as the fella said. So let's bring in the aforementioned Stevie Bambrick and Joe Nolan. Lads, how are you keeping?
Good, Kev. You?
Well, Kevin. Well, Joe.
Yeah. Well, Stevie.
Joe, I'd just like to pass on our condolences, firstly, on the passing of your mom, a great woman, and just wanted to do that at the very start, and hope all is well with you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Kevin. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, good woman. But sure, like us all, I suppose we all have our time. So, thanks very much, and thanks very much. There was a lot of people reached out over the last good few days, and people who I know through the sporting world, which shows the beauty of sport, really. So yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, I was out it's mad. I was kind of saying to you when I went up to the wake or whatever, that funerals bring so many people together then as well. So I was outside for, I think, 30 to 40 minutes before I even got in to sympathise with you. And I was chatting to the Hickeys and Mick Corcoran. And geez, I tell you one thing, if we're going to hit a record on that conversation, that would have been absolutely mega content. But that's kind of the nature of it. You see people that you haven't seen for a long time. And obviously, you'd rather it was better circumstances, but that I suppose is the small consolation and the beauty of things like that. So thanks for jumping on with us anyway. And Stevie, thanks for jumping on once more also. You're kind of half building up. Are you a selector with the lads this year, with the seniors?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we are. I am, sorry. Yeah, it's going to be a big step up Friday night. And look, we're down a couple from last year, and we'll have to get on with it, and that's it's going to be a big step up from intermediate level from last year. And we've, we're our progress with the Kearney League there and the Bulger Cup. We're missing between injuries and county lads missing a small enough panel, so very tight in numbers we were. And look, we'll just go on with it, and that's all I'd say for the time being anyway. And Kieran Murphy was asking me this morning about the junior team, and I said, look, the junior is related to when you have two teams, if you're tight for numbers, that if you're tight at the top, and it's going to be it's been no different than any other club, I suppose, with the championship being week on week there for 3 weeks in the gap, and then there's 2 more weeks. There will be lads pulled up for various reasons, and in other clubs that will be the same as well. So it's we're looking forward to it, and we know it's going to be tough as well, though. So we're under no illusions.
Mm-hmm. Here's the first cliche of the year, Stevie. Go
Yeah.
man.
I tell you, I was waiting for him to bring out the old little fiddle there, little violin there. Poor named Breed. He's really playing down their chances already. I tell you, typical manager spin there or selector spin, definitely.
Paul Daniels is out already. No
No,
illusion.
that's it, lad.
It took us about 5 minutes into the next edition of the Left Wing Back Champod. We're kind of half christening this Pull Hard. I was trying to think of other things, but if you can think of anything better, maybe send it to us in the comment, and we'll drive on over the next few weeks. Anyway, before we do delve into the senior and intermediate and junior championships in detail, we do have a few bits and bobs to get through. We might talk about the county stuff first. I was away for that great win for the footballers over Tip, and a good performance by all accounts against Westmeath. Stevie, I know you were definitely at the two of them. Joe, I know we at both of them, but Stevie, I'll bring you in first anyway.
When the draw was made, I suppose a home game is what you want if you can to get it makes a difference. I don't give a damn what you say. I was at the game that played Tipperary below in Thurles, and looked like we were going to be getting kicked out the gate after 10 minutes. Mark Russell was playing midfield, kicked 3 points in play. Everything they kicked went over the bar. We slowly got back into the game, and at half time we were only 3 or 4 points down. We got a sloppy goal after half time. Cuba saved the penalty, and the game got away, and we lost by I think it was 10 or 12 points in the wind up. But I thought that the Tipperary, just everything they'd done kind of went right. No, saying that, today in Carlow, the championship, we had the ball for the first 5 minutes with no score. Mikey missed an open goal. He couldn't believe the room he had in front of the goal. He had probably too much time, if that's another cliche I want to throw in there, but they went straight down goal, and he'd be thinking, is this going to get away? And it's no unfair to the lads, and to grow into the game, like the goal be Niall Hickey's goal was Niall Hickey got a goal in that game before half time. We're just talking the 5 minutes either side of half time in any of these games. You can go from being a point or two down to be 7-6 or 7 down, and it makes an impact in the start of the second half. Then where another point or two in your 8 or 10 down. But the lads that day, the Tipperary, you might say they didn't show up on the day or wherever, and if they win, then it's difference between winning and losing. Like Kildare and Mayo the other day, like lads like Kildare didn't put the game to bed and they had the chance. When you win, everything is okay, and when you lose, everything is not okay. But the seed likes of Niall Hickey, and he took his goal brilliantly again the next day against again Westmeath. We got goals that day to keep us in the game. Kind of were 4 or 5 points down, and Westmeath hopefully getting the scores a little bit handier at the other end. But like both games, I think with 8 or 9 scores from playing in the Tipperary game, could have been 6 or 7 in the Westmeath game. Now, lads, I say, right, the last day, Mikey, Shane Clark, Conor Doyle score from play. Asher their backs. That don't matter. It don't matter. Just the way the game is played now. Matter whether you're wearing number 3, 5, 7, 16, 20, whatever the fake number it is. The points all count the same. There's a point for each. It's 1 point, no matter who kicks it. But it's good to see the spread of scores, and like said, Jamie Clark playing midfield at that level. We're talking about Westmeath are a serious season Division 2/3 team, where we're Division 3/4 team. We've been up there and back down again. If the lads can build on this for next year, it'd be brilliant. That one victory alone, I know next year the league is. You've got game time into like Dara Corn, these lads, Mikey as well, came back from Shawnee, the 2 Clarks they've been there for a while, and the lads be saying where they're getting fair play. You have to earn the place in the county team, and you have to keep it in when you get it. And Owen Root as well, like, back in the position, probably wouldn't be 100% familiar with, but I just thought for the 2 games they maxed out as much as they could. Probably just a little bit of experience. Westmeath just had a little bit over him on the last day, but I thought to get the victory over Tipperary, definitely a big boost to finish the year. Looking back and say, right, we've beat the team that beat us by 12 points already. Got to a Division 4 final, Munster champions 2 years ago. Right, there might have been 7 or 8 of them only playing. Still, they won a Munster championship now. That's a provincial championship, which we've won 1 in our history. So it's building that for next year. Get more lads in. Keep the nucleus of that lads that are in there. They have to be in there for 2, 3, 4 years, possibly to get a settled team, settled panel. Armagh beat Donegal yesterday. They played for Man in the league final 4 years ago after Carlow and Laois. How many of them players were playing yesterday? I thought there was about 10 of them. I looked it up. There was 3 of them. And one of them was the goalie, and he was playing corner forward at the end. The full-back was centre forward. So just shows you, the Carlow team from Mayheen is totally gone. There's only Dara Foley, no route left. Armagh changed the whole team around there in All-Ireland quarter-final. So it's just... you're building a team, but you have to build a squad of 30. It's not building a squad of 15 or 18. It has to be a squad of 30. And, we looked at the hurlers this year. A lot of lads gone from last year. And, you get game time into the lads in the Bourne Cup, the Kyo Cup, or whatever. But to get them back in next year is the vital thing, And like I said, Jordan Morrissey was missing. Lads had to go home with it. We're still playing 15. We played without Brendan Murphy up in Kavanagh a couple of years ago in Breffni Park. The boys had a right good go at Cavan that day. Cavan won the Ulster title 2 years ago with a lot of that team. Yeah, you might be down a key player, but you still have 15 in the field going out.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Stevie, in terms of building the panel. It was great. I suppose we talked about this year, I suppose, start of the year as well in the National League, and about how we were building, to be patient with the lads, and whatever 7 or 8 games in after the league campaign, the Bourne Cup campaign, or our championship defeat. But I think we were seeing green shoots there, definitely. I'd agree with a lot of what you said. Was at both matches. To me, I suppose, apart from Stevie did a good summary there of the game, of the games. I suppose the game against Westmeath, and you mentioned the key thing there was that just after half time, Westmeath kicked 3 points, opened up a 5-point gap, and they just kept us at arm's length then for the rest of the match. But it is about developing the panel, and I suppose maybe in the Westmeath match, that extra year or two of development probably showed. I thought maybe we got tired a little bit towards the end, and maybe our strength and depth wasn't the same as Westmeath, but that's not a disservice to the lads who were representing Carlow on the day. It was just Westmeath lads had maybe more miles in the clock in terms of coming off the bench. I think the big positives for me about we'll call it the Tailteann Cup, the end of the year for footballers. Obviously to get the win, the performance, but I suppose two or three little things. I suppose number one, that the panel stayed together, because I think for years, or for a couple of years there, we all sometimes when the league went bad for us, our panel was decimated, and I think there was a worry coming into the Tailteann Cup that this might happen, not necessarily in our county, but in other counties. And I think it was you, Stevie, pointed out that there was 12 starters on both teams from the National League game, so it showed that both counties, Tip and Carlow, were taking it quite seriously, and it meant something for them. And I think that was a very positive thing as well. It was very positive from a Carlow point of view, because the more game time you have together, the better. I suppose also a big positive, and to see what it meant to the players, especially after a Tipperary game, the absolute buzz that was there in Netwatch Cullen was unbelievable, and I know the players were beaming after it. And I suppose after the last day as well, you could see there was a genuine disappointment there for them to lose it, and it shows that it really did mean something for them. And I think the good thing about that was that you're hopefully guaranteeing that panel will stick together and hopefully be freshened up even again next year with a few more faces. I suppose just one thing on that, Kevin. I know we're kind of going slightly off topic a little bit, but one thing on it, I have to compliment Carlow GA as well for their role, especially the first day against Tipperary. Was sold really well, even the second day as well. Little novel ideas, under 16s coming in free, the competition for the jerseys for the national school kids or for the school going kids. You saw the guards and county board representatives were out, had the initiatives that they're doing on display. Jason Farrell, who sponsored the jerseys as well for the raffle, had a little shop there with the gear there. The shop was open and redone up. The stand was buzzing. I think, in fairness to Carlow G, and even the last day against Westmeath, their, I won't call it their marketing angle, whatever, their promotion was excellent. And I think we need to build that positivity and keep building that positivity behind the county and both codes next year. And it was a massive plus. Like, I think everyone, even though we lost to Westmeath, and I think you'd be right in saying, or you'd probably say this as well, Stevie, but there was a very positive feeling coming out, out of the grounds afterwards, that it wasn't negativity either towards a type of football we played, or about the whole setup, that there was a very positive atmosphere there, and that people were looking forward to next year. I think that's I suppose a big plus coming out of the year.
Definitely. And I think what it does now is it does a couple of things, right? So I was a bit skeptical, I suppose, at the Tailteann Cup, and I think it's actually gone pretty good. In fairness, like, it, I still think they were a bit late in promoting it, but what they did, even the simple thing there when Dara Foley was chatting to the tip captain, and just let the two of them talk to each other and all, little novel things like that, I think helped a lot. I think it's gone a lot better than I thought it might go. I think it's been promoted a bit better in terms of the TV coverage it's getting, or it's going to get, I should say. And the other thing I was going to say there was, now that we've been patient and we've got these performances, what it actually does already, which is, I don't know, is it right or wrong or fair to say, it raises expectation for next year going into the league. And you would almost look at it now, even though it's still a short enough space of time, that if we don't get promoted next year, that it's nearly a bit of a failing. Which I don't know, is it fair or not just yet? Because it's still
Bit too
fairly
much
early
pressure.
doors.
Yeah, I'd
It's still
agree.
early
No,
doors.
it is early
Yeah.
doors, and you have to see what happens with the panel in terms of maybe some of them lads with a lot of mileage on the clock stepping back and a few more lads coming in. I just think it was positive. And just by the way, on your TV coverage as well, I still think the most important part for me was what our own counties do, and not necessarily the national media. Like, whether it's a big plus to have it's a plus to have highlights on the Sunday game, and it promotes it as well. But without what our own county did on the ground the first week against Tip and against Westmeath, that means nothing. Do you know what I mean? We see, oh God, the lads got 3 or 4 minutes game time on the Sunday game, which is fine. But the buzz in the grounds, in fairness, was built and generated. The buzz during the week. I mean, I said to someone there, like, I had 5 kids after the first weekend, and on the Monday asked me when the next game was. Are we going in? Do you know what I mean? The atmosphere was brilliant, and some of mine wouldn't be the best GA goers in the world, but there was a great buzz there, and I think, like I said, while it's good to have it on the national media and highlight it, I think the success of the Tailteann Cup will, I think, ultimately come down to what our own counties do when they're in it, and maybe to make it enticing, or to make it enjoyable for the GA spectator.
Mm-hmm. Well done, I have to say as well. I agree with you wholeheartedly. To Jared and whoever else is involved, fair play. I'm just looking at the running order. We had 5 minutes allocated for that slot. 15 minutes in. I was getting abused. I went out for a bit of a walk there earlier. I'd always go for a walk before the podcast on the Monday, just to have things clear or whatever. And the missus says to me, that joke goes on longer than the Sunday game, like. Kind of has a point. It doesn't go on that long, sure. An hour does it in an outlet. 16 minutes for a 5 minute slot.
Well, we start talking about Gerard Hegarty here. We get him banned again.
Yeah, trial by media. Okay, so moving on to the next topic then. And we'll do it, I suppose, in order of things corresponding. The Hurling Forum a couple of weeks back. I think both of you were at that. Stevie, you're up first.
Yeah, an invitation to the clubs to send down a couple of representatives to a meeting in the Step House in Boris there last Thursday week, I think it was. And every club was well represented. And they covered a lot of topics, I suppose. It was, county teams, lads not being released, or should have been released more from, minor teams or whoever. Building into the linking in more with the Celtic Challenge this year. There's a bit of an imbalance with numbers, and Joe, I'll tell you that now. I was involved with it every day. I was there some days. To get the balance right of, and then we're, a lot of lads around at home had the very same thoughts, and John Coleman and Boris came out. This was just about to say myself, and John came out about the schools. If you haven't got the schools, you have to start at the bottom, work from there up, and this is just going forward from hurling point of view. In no matter what school, whether it's below in Ballymurphy or it's in Auckland or it's in Michael or wherever it is, as Joe said with the county board initiative there, that day in Carlow with the Carlow Tipperary game was the simplest thing in the world if you look back at it now. was a child came down, one of the children won, I think it was the first day, I'd say about 4 years of age, 5 years of age, and 3 or 4 of his friends came onto the pitch with him, and it was brilliant to see. And that's where you get if you go back to the schools, with parts of our county, towns, villages, we're the second smallest county in Ireland, area-wise, and there's probably 20% or 30% of our county there's no hurling in, for various reasons. And till we, we're maxed out we might be saying the last couple of years we're playing at Joe McDonagh level, Willie McCarthy, with 5 clubs at senior level of 6 this week. But that's not sustainable going forward. That you have 14 lads from Leinster Rangers, 6 or 8, whatever it is, from Sam Munns. I'm not sure. I know it was 14 because I seen 14 Leinster Rangers lads on the panel last day. I just seen it stuck in my head, and it was good ideas, and not saying any more. There were rocket science or anything, but there's such a small hurling community in Carlow that you're looking at Offaly and all these other teams. You're looking at Michael Dignan or Shane Lowry pumping money in, and you'd be a bit jealous in one way and kind of envious as well. Then you're delighted the boys go up and beat them then in the last round of the Joe McDonagh, shows that's not going to necessarily guarantee success. It will in the long run because they won the minor and that. Joe came up with a couple of good ideas there. There was different things, like little small things where you're trying to get more people involved at a younger age and try and keep them involved. And like even the gap from minor to adult level. You're 17 years of age. If you're 18 this year, your birthday, you're in your 18th year on the planet this year. Your first game of hurling this year was either going to be a Leinster League match or a Kilkenny League match. Kilkenny League match, you could be playing Moonkind or something like that, won the All-Ireland Club Junior last year. The Leinster League, you'll be playing with your first team against anyone. Could be Oulart de Balla, it could be Rathmuir, it could be James Stevens. That's a big step up for any 17-year-old. It's just coming up. You could have 10 minors coming up from there, coming up to play out, or they've no choice. That's where the gap there is. Now, there wasn't much said about that in the night, but things like these, there's talks that being put back to 18 again, the minor at national level. Now, that was hinted at the meeting. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But it's, I let Joe talk a bit better. Joe can talk a bit better on it than I would know. There's a lot of small things discussed that were very valid and look very simple to do. Will they be done? I don't know. They were going to review it again in a couple of months. It's all about promoting the game, and it falls back to you were talking to the Hickeys outside of Joe's mother's wake the other day. Well, I was talking to Hickeys outside the church on Saturday, and we're going through different things, the football and hurling championships, and you're talking about the gaps like that where there is a need for a bit more. Joined up thinking is probably a stupid way of saying about it. It has to be some bit of a voice for the likes of Carlow, where Paul Cody has said it umpteen times, and Nicky Paul speaks his mind, but he speaks the truth as well. That it's what help do you get from outside without asking for help from outside? We're not on death's door or anything, but what do you do to keep it all going? We're in Division 2, we've been Division 1. We don't want to slip down any further. Division 2 as far as we want to go. And it's just, I said, I'll let Joe talk there now, but it's just...
Right, I'll throw him in here.
Yeah.
I would have an answer to that. Not sounding condescending, but obviously look internally first, and that's what the hurling forum was about. But Joe, give us a flavour of some of those ideas.
Well, there was a lot of, just to go back on Stevie's thing, there was the main points I suppose he's really hit on there. There was a little bit concerned maybe about the under-20 championship and its positioning. In terms of that, a lot of players will be playing maybe in most clubs will be playing two, very hard, tough championship matches, in the space of a week. And if you're playing 3 weeks running and the 20s are running as well, you could have, 6 tough matches in 14 days, really, if you get me. So, there was a little bit concerned about that. But then I suppose on the flip side, it's where do we fit in the calendar? The calendar was discussed as well from the point of view of maybe In certain cases, the flipping the calendar might suit suit some clubs. I suppose there is a concern sometimes too when you have it, and some people, while we saw the benefits of code, one code on and one code off, if you get me, in terms of the blocks. I suppose we are seeing lads maybe slip away. If you're predominantly a footballer and you're but you play hurling second, you might maybe slip off to the States for a few weeks. Now I know we've some high profile players who are going off hurlers anyway, which we might discuss later. But if you're the kind of maybe the casual hurler or whatever else, and football is your main code, we might be seeing some clubs losing lads because of there's a 6-week window or 8-week window there where they can go ahead to the States, and that might hamper second teams. So that was kind of that was kind of discussed. But obviously, I suppose the main thing was we decided that the hurling, I suppose, in the summer and on the hard ground, on the good ground, is where it should be. But again, I suppose that was just one concern there. A couple of little things, I suppose. I always think we sometimes use our numbers as with small numbers. It's a disadvantage. We should be using it as an advantage, really. I know we talked about the use of the Kearney leagues, continuing use of the Kearney leagues, and maybe a concerning amount of maybe walkovers and so on. And I would have heard that as well from the flip side from a couple of Kearney clubs that were a little bit concerned about the number of games that were being passed up by Carlow clubs, and that maybe trying to be creative in terms of sitting down and start the year and seeing what numbers are available and what's the major benefit, and maybe rather than say every club in Carlow entering, if it's a minor hurling, at under 17 level in the Kearney League, that maybe a couple of clubs just for the Kearney League might join up. So what that might do is it might save you having to nominally have an under 17 team in, but maybe you have 9 lads going with county panels or whatever else. So you're forced then to play all your under 15s at under 17 level for the sake of putting out an under 17 team, or maybe you might have a handful of under 17. So maybe clubs might look to go together and maybe put together an under 17 team of what's there. I suppose we looked at the idea, or I raised the idea as well of naming off panels, which I would have discussed with 2E, where I suppose just to safeguard numbers and maybe to allow teams to be a little bit flexible in terms of fielding. We all know in our clubs about where a lad gets 5 minutes of a championship run at the top grade because maybe a team is down a few players for a weekend or because of injuries or whatever else. And then when these players come back, that player is gone for the rest of the year. He can't play. He mightn't feature up at that grade again. And he's obviously not had to play down the grade below because he's played higher. So the idea maybe of naming off a panel, and I suppose also my thinking on that will be if we continue to play the under 20s games midweek, and it might come down to, it might give you more flexibility in terms of resting your good under 20s, if you get me, and not horsing lads, rather than expecting your good under 20s to play all those games and become injured. And I think it was who was it? I think it was Mick Redmond from Naomh Eoin, I think, made the point that they had 3 injuries in an under 20 game, to 3 of their senior players last year. Just wear and tear, it's like anything going, you're increasing the chances of injuries occurring. So there was little things looked at like that. It was a positive meeting now, in fairness, and it was great to see such representation there, and such. I'm not concerned because we're not in that bad a place or anything, but I think growing our numbers is everything. I think growing our numbers is everything, and I think, I think at some levels it's where we would actually have less. Where we used to have our traditional concerns, shall we say, are actually flying. Like if you take Carlow Town, they're actually flying at underage. There are 2 minor teams this year, and I suppose their men there at the meeting were concerned that they keep, they're able to show a pathway for their players from 17 onwards, because obviously there's the lower maybe of the bigger ball in the town, but their numbers are quite strong. Burn Rangers are quite strong. And numbers all the way through. And it was actually it was my own clubman, Brendan Lean, raised the idea of numbers in we call it the more traditional clubs, and where maybe we need to revisit our player base. But I thought it was quite positive. There was little key things there that the meeting, that the chairman and the committee said that they would bring back and have a chat about, and also then that we'd have a review then at the end of the hurling championship, which I think is a positive thing as well, maybe to review where we're going forward next year in terms of decisions that can be made ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. That sounds positive. I'm glad to hear there's a review as well, because these things spontaneously are no good unless there is a follow up and a continued follow up, and then you're going places. I think that's quite a good idea, in fairness. And I said to you at the time regarding, making kind of lads available. I don't know, did you say it exactly how you said it to me with regards to a few floating players? I wasn't listening entirely.
Well, as in,
other things.
You'd name off, just say if it's senior players, just say it's a senior panel, pick a number, maybe 17, you'd name off, say 18 players, and they can only play if it's senior. And then the next, anyone else then in your club registered can maybe play, play up or can play any grade, basically, So it means then that, or you call it 20, whatever, a number would have to be hit upon. But it means then that if you do have injuries, that an intermediate player can come up, knowing that, right, well, if they're good enough, they can stay up, and that's fine. But if they're not good, if they're only the 5 or 10 minute player or whatever, that they still have their 60 minutes at intermediate guaranteed to them. And I know people that say, oh God, well, would that not make the stronger club stronger, because they could play the system and maybe 5 of their, or 4 or 5 of their better lads could make their intermediate team stronger, and the same with their junior team. But I suppose the only thing about that is that it's really false economy if you do that, because you're yo-yoing players, which is the whole point. Which is not what you want to do in terms of your strong players. You want to kind of protect them. So if you start yo-yoing players to win a championship, ultimately you're not giving other players game time, and therefore it's a kind of self-defeating thing. But and also the idea of, especially as well with the under 20 players, that it gives you a bit of flexibility, and it might keep lads in the system. We know of lads in our clubs who've got 5 or 10 minutes one year, and they walk away disillusioned then the next year, because that's their only hurling or football, depending on whatever code it is, and because they stand in and needs must, and suddenly then that's their summer over in a few minutes, knowing well that when other players come back, they're further down the pecking order. So it was just something to think about. But they said that they've discussed it before, and they might review it for next year.
I got 5 or 10 minutes senior hurling 1 year, and I was disillusioned because I didn't know how the fuck it happened. No, all great ideas though. They do what they do over in Laois with football. I'm sure it's down for hurling. Throughout the leagues, you nominate 15 players before the league starts, and then subsequently coming into the championship, you nominate 2 more. So you have 17, and everyone else is free to play. And then once you do play in championship, you can come back and play the grade below. So it's slightly different, but similar enough to what you're saying. And I always found that was a tough one. That I think regrading 5, wasn't it? Is it still regrade 5?
Yeah.
That is tough, like, because are you better off going to 17? Yeah, I think.
Well, just on the 5 regrading, I can't maybe. Well, I can speak for our club. I don't know about you, Stevie, but we regrade 5, and I'd say 4 of them come back up, or 4 of them don't play. Do you know what I mean? We don't.
Yeah, we should go up and next weekend, like
That's it. Like, I mean, any year I've been involved with secretary or anything like that, or in the committee, it's random. Once a random, you pick. Right, there might be 1 lad out of 5 or 2 who might go back intermediate or second team, and maybe he's packing it in, or maybe he's going away or work or whatever. But you're not. Most other lads, you're just picking 5. You know in your heart and soul that the rest of them are going to still bounce back up. So it might be just something to review.
Yeah, at least there's lots of positives from that. Anyway, that's the
absolutely yeah, very positive. Yeah.
The Football League final, the Senior Football League Division 1 final, a 2-point win for Rathvilly over Éire Óg the other night. I wasn't there. I don't think any of us were there. Can't really comment a whole lot on it, but I know, like, Éire Óg have been hammering everyone in for most of that league anyway. Not that I don't want to give this league a whole lot of airtime. I'll be straight with you. I'm not going to, because I think it's a load of shite. I have to be straight and honest. There's no benefit to it. When you can't get promoted and relegated, there's no benefit to it. So I'm actually closing it down here and then. Sorry, I'm not even going to get your thoughts on it. But well done to Rathvilly. That's all I can say. Take nothing away from them. Just the structure is dung. Ladies football, very positives. A big win against Derry. Who did we win against the week before again? I'm not forgetting, but it's 2 from 2 away from home.
Anyway. Was it for Mana?
Yeah, fair play. That's good going. Derry have been a bogey team kind of in the past, so good start there, in fairness. And keeper, when are they out again this weekend, Stevie? Sorry, I didn't get to see the fixture.
26 on the week during Carlow against London. I was in that game last year. They played London, and it was a horrendous day. And they had 2-goal chance after half time, and they missed the two of them. And I can't think of the player. London had a former Dublin player. I can't think of her name, but she was lethal. She scored. Oh God, she scored most of the scores they got. But I just seen the highlights there of the game yesterday. Now Rachel got a goal in the first couple of minutes. Herself and Sarah Dial, I think they scored 2-7 or 2-8 between them, and then where she given a couple of points. They look very good now. I hear that it was played in Celtic Park in Derry as well. Put a big score. Like they were
very dominant. I watched it as well, Stevie. Very dominant.
Yeah, they were like full value. Like Atkinson got a couple of points, I think. They look flying it now. They just and hopefully that game against London. So I think it's nearly sure it's Dr. Cullen on Sunday week. So it'll be interesting if we go to that now. It'll be to get 3 wins over 3 because they were going well. Was it 2 years ago? The COVID hit. They had a couple of wins under the belt in the league, and the COVID came then. I think because it was they played Antrim in Carlow and gave Antrim a fierce hiding in the IT. And I think shortly after the COVID came and flicked the whole up, there had a bit of momentum at saying, the small things like that, you get a couple of wins under your belt. See a great photo they had up on Twitter there today, how do you see it? Or yesterday, they got taken with the mural of the Derry girls, Carlow girls.
Oh, yeah.
Well done, fairness, whoever thought of it, good thinking.
Yeah.
So they seem to be bonding well anyway.
Switching across to Camogie, so just to give you a tale on what's happening so far. Galway beat Carlow. Carlow more competitive against Kerry, but losing out by 2 points. And then Westmeath comfortable enough over them there at the weekend. Now coming up this weekend, they take on Laois. We'll get the exact fixture details of that in a little bit. But
I think that's Saturday after dinner.
Is it? Yeah, because it's TBC on the GA website.
I know there's now Breege under 10 girls playing at half time. I think it's Saturday.
Right.
That's a vital game. I think Laois are the nearest to them on the table. Laois might have no points as well, so I think that could be a
and Dublin. They have Dublin, I think, then after that. So, right, let's go into our club stuff then, lads. And Junior Hurling Championship over the weekend. Burn Rangers getting off to a good start over Palatine, 22 points to 1-5. I'm hoping and praying Burn Rangers win that this year. I'll be straight with you. Want them up the grades. I can see them getting to senior not too distant future. I think for the benefit of Carlow Hurling, we all want them up there. St. Mullins beat Navan by 218 to 7 points. Any word on either of those two games, lads? Have you chatting to anyone? No,
I heard nothing. No, I heard nothing. No, I seen the scores. That's it.
I don't think.
Go on, yeah.
No. I just a tiny bit. I don't think from a PAL point of view they had no PAL done this year to date. So I suppose it's kind of sometimes the good and bad years in terms of what goes on over there. So, but a positive result for Burn Rangers. Yeah, I'd agree with you. There were another few lads coming through there this year. I think next year's their big year. They have a lot of lads coming off a very strong minor team next year. A lot of them are on the county under minor team there this year. So I think they'll be punching fairly strong to win that. All right, Kev.
I'm going on to the games this weekend, so lads, and I know I'm going to end up in an awkward kind of a pickle here, right? When I talk about the games on Friday, two of them were on at the same time. I understand the reason for that is to have teams play with their first team first, which kind of goes against maybe your idea a little bit earlier, Joe. And again, just to point out as well, with regards to the league and with regards to playing hurling before football, I think those two things went to a vote. So the clubs had the power to change that, didn't they? nearly certain. Definitely with the playing the hurling or football first, anyway, they had the power to do that. And that's what was voted.
Yeah.
So before anyone says X, Y, or Z about X, Y, or Z, this is the clubs that have done that. In terms of the football leagues, I don't know for definite did that go to a vote. Maybe someone will inform us. I can't remember. I feel like it might have had. But anyway, just before we put that caveat, because I was wondering why the two games were on the same time on the Friday night. And I believe that may be the reason why. Well, it's not confirmed, consolidated, X, Y, or Z. But to give you the fixtures anyway. So in the training centre at 7:30 on Friday, it's Breege versus St. Mullins. And then at the same time in Netwatch Cullen Park, it's Vaughan versus Ballinkillen. We'll preview those in a second. Moving on to Saturday then at 4 o'clock in Netwatch Cullen Park, it's Bindlestown Gales versus Munster Rangers. And then moving on later on that evening, you have Vaughan versus Carlow Town. That's in Michael at 6:30. Bindlestown Gales at home to Ballinkillen at 7:30. And also at 7:30, St. Mullins at home to Munster Rangers. The following day then, Junior Hurling Championship, Rangers are home to Michael at 6:00. At the same time, Breege at home to Palatine. And also at the same time, Burn Rangers are at home to St. Mullins in Kilbride. So that's the Jack and Rory in terms of the fixtures. We'll roll through them as they are happening. So, Stevie, you gave us a brief synopsis on that one. It probably brings us into news of lads going overseas and stuff. Actually, I should have actually asked Brendan Kavanagh Furniture as a sponsor. Is Mouse gone yet? When is he going? How long is he going for? Etc. Etc. But I believe that's happening anyway. What way is looking at this one, Stevie? No cliches.
It's a game of two halves.
Yeah.
Well, sure. As I said, it's a step up, big step up. We've had the same preparation as most teams have played the Kilkenny League and the Bulger Cup and through practice games. Tight enough squad numbers wise. The county lads are only back there the last couple of weeks. They're no different than any other club, I know. So we're it's into the unknown, I suppose, for a lot of lads. Look, some of the lads will have played senior back a couple of years ago, and you'll be looking forward to it. And of course, it'll be a bit of intrepidation. But you'll be looking with trepidation as well. But it's you want to be senior, your intermediate level, and as I said last year, you were asking me the intermediate level, the standard in that has raised in the last couple of years unbelievably. But then, senior still senior, and it's with 5 games, three weeks in a row. You've gap then, and then there's 2 weeks to finish off the league part of it. So look, we're focusing nothing else on St. Mullins on Friday night, and hopefully put a good show and see where it brings us. Look, you can say Mouse is gone or whoever's gone. I'm back to what I said a few minutes ago about Jordan Morrissey missing, Carlow, Brendan Murphy missing. They're missing one of their best players. There's still 15 going out. There's lads going to be going to take place in that team if he's gone for the championship. So no matter who you're missing, there's still be 15 lads going out, and they want to keep that jersey, for the year. So regards 2 games, I'm guessing the 2 games are on the same time.
Yep.
Because of the intermediate being on, where we're playing around the junior before the senior intermediate mightn't be that big a deal. Maybe, I don't know. I'm only guessing that's the reason it is. Like, we're out in Fennan, we're in Fennan, and that's it. And get on with it.
At least we'll have representation in 2 places anyway. Because I'm actually at a game elsewhere, not even in the county. So at least someone will be able to talk about each of the games. Joe, I'm going to bring you in on this, right? Because I have a couple of things to ask you, obviously in relation to the game, being a Ballinkillen man, coming up against Vaughan or whatever, but also something that you always say year on year on this podcast is about the basic skills and tactics and, throw it out the window, whatever. Basic skills is what it always comes down to. And then I want to add to that slightly, and it goes to what Stevie has just said. And I've actually said this recently enough to other people as well. The speed in which you execute the basic skills determines the great. Simple as that. The great man himself, Brian Cody, said that. He said, there's nothing between Carlow and Kilkenny, only the speed that we're able to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think there's a lot of logic in that. Like, it's like, yeah, we can all pick up a ball, we can strike a ball, we can catch a ball, we can get big or whatever. But if you look at it, it's always speed. Look at the Joe McDonough final over the last couple of years. It wasn't, maybe not over the last couple of years, but a couple of years before that, before a Leinster final, and you just see the difference. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So I think that's Naomh Breeze's biggest hurdle that they'll have to jump this year. Obviously, being biased, would look to see him coming up and making a similar impression to what Bindstown Gales have in the last couple of years. But again, no different to the Carlow senior footballers. I think they need a bit of time and a bit of patience. Yeah. Obviously,
I saw St. Mullins this year twice actually, just the way it happened. They played us in the Bulger Cup, and I saw them again as well. And they're moving well. Like, they're moving well. Obviously they had a run of lads, a run together. Didn't have as many with the county panel this year. James and Ger and that. Not there, and I know Gary Bennett is away as well. Also, he's a bit of a loss there in that full back line, but they were moving the ball very well, very slick. So they'll, like I said, we've seen them pulling, producing big years without key players before. So it'll be a big ask for Naomh Breed, but look, it's great to see. It's great to have 6 teams up there again, and it's that's a good sign, and I think Naomh Breed will take what they can out of the year. I think they'll pick their battles. I know Stevie O'Hamid, obviously he won't tell us nothing here tonight, but they'll pick their battles and pick their matches maybe where their focus, where they maybe can more realistically maybe pick a result. I can't see them getting the result myself at the weekend against St. Mullins. I'll nail me colours to the mast. I think they'll give them a good rattle, but like you said, that it might be just a year too soon, or a championship game too soon for them to pull a surprise on Friday night.
It's going to take time to adjust, of course. So
yeah.
The other one then, Joe?
Yeah, Ballinkillen and Michael. Where do I start spilling my tale of woe now? We listen to Stevie and his fiddle.
Are you a selector at this year? Just that?
No, I'm with the intermediates. I could still having to talk with the intermediates by the looks of it. Yeah, sure. Look, we're motoring well. We going okay. Like, in terms of, we've had a good run of games. Leinster League, Kearney League. Bulger Cup. So we've had a lot of games, but it's a change team. It's a big changes. I think I was saying to you lads off air, just 2 years ago, we were in the senior and the junior final, and I think this weekend, between our two teams, we'll probably be down, I think, probably 15 or 16 of the 38 players that played that weekend for us in those two finals. Like, so a lot of new young lads are coming through. Some old lads still hanging on and say too, but I don't know. I suppose, look, the lads will give it everything. They're carrying a few knocks. There's a couple of lads away and stuff like that. So it'll be a big ask. I think Michael have been tipping away nicely there. I haven't heard too much in terms of injuries or absences for them. I think it'll be a big ask with a few younger players going well for us. A few exciting young lads, but I think again we might be like Naomh Breed. I think this weekend will come too soon for us in terms of maybe player availability and that as well. And I think we'll be doing well to get something out of the game. To be perfectly honest with you, I think the lads will give it everything. And have a good game plan. Good. In fairness to Owen and Tony and that this year, they've worked an awful lot in terms of tactically and how we set up and stuff. And I think with our full complement of players, we'll give any of them a shot. But maybe just at the weekend we're going to be under a little bit more pressure. So my heart says obviously Ballinkillen, but my head is saying I think just we'll focus on the performance and see where the results goes then.
Okay, so Michael, in other words, without having to say it.
No, I think I don't know. I just think for our lads, we played some really, really good hurling this year. It's just like, and I'm not trying to, as I said, I'm fairly honest. If lads are away or lads are injured or lads or whatever, I'd fairly say it's fairly straight. But I think we just have a few lads with little bits of knocks, and it's just lads picking up stuff at the wrong time. probably had to be another week. We, with a couple of lads coming back off, with a couple of lads coming back off a county football panel as well, who haven't been with us, had been granted the extra week, which a couple of clubs asked for, ourselves, sorry, should I say, asked for. It might have given us, a little different little options, but look, I don't know. I think we'll focus on the performance anyway and see where it goes. So I leave it at that. I won't call it either way, but that's all I'd say.
So 4:00 Saturday. Again, Netwatch Cullen Park, as you said, Rangers versus Bynnestown Gales. I know very little about either two of them in the preparation. I'll be very straight with this. I haven't heard a huge amount, so I can't really comment on what I think or what I don't think. And it's going to take me a round or two of the championship to start establishing everything. Like, no different to anyone else, I suppose, because you can only read so much into what's going on beforehand. Rangers generally come fairly strong in the first round, like, from memory. They tend to hit the ground running. I don't know what way, as I said to you, I don't know what way Bynnestown are fixed. It would be great to see them back up what they did last year, because they had a stunning year last year. Like, I thought they took everyone by surprise. But can we see a result for them here? I'll be straight with you, without knowing a whole lot, just to be, I suppose, looking into a crystal ball, I'd still probably say Rangers here. What would you say, Joe?
Probably. Again, I think it's horses for courses with Bynnestown. I think got off to a great start last year, but kind of tied up a little bit.
Joe's
few new faces.
Here.
What's that? Yeah, I had to drop in one, for God's sake.
Good man.
But I think I know, like, they'll have a few lads coming up. In fairness, they have a couple, like, that pretty good under-20 team last year, and I know a lot of them were blooded anyway at senior level, like Jack and Darren and them lads. But there's a few more lads to come up through that, and and I think JP Tracy, I think, is hurling with them this year.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be a big addition. Comes with after Kilkenny experience, started underage, and or at a good level. He'll be a big addition if he's kind of training well, or I'm not sure, as I say, where he is and things like that. But it's probably hard to see past Rangers. I think they're, whether Chris is gone or not, they're plenty of firepower. A couple of the older lads who are getting older, but they have that experience to win games. Of course, they'll have a couple of lads coming through as well. Like, you'd imagine Donna Murphy. I don't know whether he'll be maybe held back or held in reserve after featuring heavily this year for St. Kieran's and Carlow under 20s and that. He's a very exciting prospect there as well, and it'll be interesting to see whether he's blooded out for them in the senior championship, or will they give him a round or two at intermediate level. Just picking him as an example of kind of of their up and coming stars down there. So it's probably hard to look past Rangers in this one for me anyway.
All right, Stevie.
Yeah, no, we played Rangers in the Bulger Cup. There probably 3 or 4 seniors playing, and the Bynnestown game I was working, so I can't. That's as much as I know about. I would have been talking to Pat Tracy. He told me early on in the year there that JP was going to the town, so he'll be a big addition as well. I suppose that's a nit back in there. The likes of Jamie Clark, hasn't probably held the hurl too much this year. Yeah. Definitely hasn't, wouldn't be back same as Mikey or David us or anyone that's was involved with the football. So you have to try and could take a round or two before lads get, and a round or two you're into the stage where you have to start winning games to get to the semi-finals and that. So yeah, it's a bit of an unknown quantity again now this year. Just as Joe said, like they're under 20s from last year. I think Jack Dyle is only back there from, he had an operation earlier on the year as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he'll go on now this year. Very good off the bench last year in a lot of the games. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Maybe a good game for the neutral to see on Saturday to see as you say, Kevin will Rangers hit the ground running. Dennis Murphy is gone. If Chris is gone as well, there's a new free taker in town. Then whoever's taking the frees, if Donna Murphy is up, will be interesting to see. Does he go straight into the team? Will they throw him in after 20 minutes or half an hour? Will they pick? Like you said, we're going to pick the games for us to win. Maybe would they pick a game for him to play in to bring him in.
Probably. I'm thinking. I think is he doing his leaving cert this year? I can't remember if he is. You know what I mean? He's only a young man.
Probably is. Yeah, there's a lot of lads. Like, that's another thing with the minor being
earlier round. Yeah.
The minor being 17. I was queer. Like lads could be playing senior in their fifth year. They can the year to be. The following year they're doing they would have a year of senior maybe or adult hurling, then they're doing the leaving the next year. So it's another feck up at it. I think that minor sort of goes back to under 18 the better.
Dennis is over some team in Wexford, I think, is he? Dennis Murphy?
Is he?
I think so. I heard, yeah. I can't think what team it is offhand now, but very certainly he's helping out with something in Wexford. So best luck to him. Yeah, like it's mad because he minded himself so well. You'd think he has another few years in him. It's just the severity of the injuries was so shite on him. Like, you know what I mean? Incredible player. But that's the long and short of it, lads. We'll move on to intermediate then. Naomh Eoin and Carlow Town. In a word, I fancy a Naomh Eoin. Is it 3 Naomh Eoins? I'm guessing it might be.
I should be thinking so, I suppose. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I thinking so. Yeah.
Yourselves then and Bagnestown. That's also Saturday, as we said earlier, in McGrath Park at 7:30. You may or may not make an appearance, Joe. I know you don't want to be making these appearances, or do you want to be making them?
I just literally after giving the thumbs up in the WhatsApp group. Look, I'm back, lads. Look, I'm back. I know. Yeah, I'd say we'll be under pressure. Like I said, we in first we've got a few young lads. Like it'll be a kind of an under 19, under 20 team with a few over 45 maybe. But we'll look. You probably have to. We'll probably under pressure this year at intermediate level. We were under pressure last year. We ran teams. In fairness, now we ran teams close for maybe 45 minutes. But kind of ran out of legs, literally and figuratively, as say. And probably Bagnestown Gales with the numbers that they have, and coming up from the junior ranks last year, would have to be firm favourites there. But now local derby, you wouldn't know what happened. It's said to be skin in the hair anyway.
St Mullins at home to Rangers. Still find Rangers to win, just with pure depth, unbelievable depth.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, you'd be guessing that. St Mullins, they've back to 3 teams again this year, and they won well again. Naomh Eoin there the weekend in the junior. Just some of them lads go up now. I didn't hear who they had or hadn't played that, but we'll cover them and go back up to play that game. Where is that game? Is it in St Mullins?
St Mullins, yeah, St Mullins. Yeah. I still fancy Rangers for any. Are you saying Rangers or St Mullins?
I'm going to sit in the fence. I'm going to go with the draw.
Draw, grand. Okay, right. Moving on to the Junior Hurling Championship then. Rangers are home to Michael. Who's winning that one? I'm going Michael.
I go Rangers.
I'm going to go Rangers this time, yeah, as well. I think so. Yeah, I think they might. Yeah.
All right. Naomh Breege at home to Palatine. Is Stevie playing?
Did you give the thumbs up, Stevie, in the WhatsApp group?
It's been my own fault because I did the one has sent out the text message. So all going well as one of the boys in the quarry says that won't turn up to half the Oaks. He says he's going to won't be playing. Kieran Murphy was asking me this morning about the junior there. Look, I said, and it's not passing it off, but you'd have lads pencil in for senior on Friday night, and depending on what you're using that, like you'll have you'll have lads that to go get the 5 or 10 minutes or 15 minutes on Friday night. They're gone Sunday, which is back to Joe's argument, which is a valid one. So look, we'll have a mix of a team. We'll have a experience and some young lads. We haven't that many lads come up of minor this year. Probably have 2 or 3. So with exams as well, we're in that situation as well. So.
Look, come here. I know you'd rather hurl with 14, but I need you to find out something from me, right? Because a lad was playing football in Kildare and hurling in Laois. You know what they might be getting at here. I wouldn't mind playing a bit of junior hurling, seriously. I loved that social hurling the night I went. It was great crack. You can't pay playing. You get the grow from when you go back playing in the game every now and then. I wonder, can that happen? Like, there is literally no hurling club around here. So what's a man to do? Like, you can't. I'm not going to drive the fucking Doro to play a game. You know what I mean?
I think
Play
that's
under
Same one's
Stevie's
probably,
name.
same
That's
one's
your answer,
probably
I
as
think.
far as it. Yeah. Well, sure. We'll see. We'll see what the story is. Your
Parker Hanitsky, David, no.
Yeah, Jenny Mac. Fuel prices, just stop. Right, okay. So you're going with Breed then, Stevie. Joe's going with Breed. I'm going with Breed. Are you going with Pal?
I fancy Pal. Yeah, I'm going to go with Pal.
Okay.
I think they'll pull a surprise. I think they were stung after the first game. I think, well, actually, you know, it's hard to know. I suppose. Okay, I think maybe physically they might wear an Breed down a little bit. So I'm going to go just a slight edge for Pal there. Yeah.
Burn Rangers at home to St. Mullins. I'm going with Burn Rangers down in Kilbride. How about you, lads?
Yeah, go Burn Rangers as well.
Yeah, I tell you, really, again, comes down to, you know, the match probably the night before, really, the intermediate match, doesn't it? You know, the knock-on effect. And if, you know, St. Mullins can hang on to a few sharp shooters, they might maybe have the edge over Burn Rangers, but I suppose you'll have to probably tip your hat to Burn Rangers scoring. Whoever got 21 or 22 points last week was a fine score. So, and the very young Townsend is a very accurate free taker, and down, you know, at junior hurling level, if you've one or two key forwards and a lad like him hitting frees, I remember when the schools final there this year, he's hitting them from, you know, 80, 90 yards. Lovely striker of the ball. It's a big addition back, you know, it's a big addition at any level, but it's certainly a big addition, you know, at the junior level. So, yeah, maybe, look, like I said, it'll depend on what St. Mullins lose, but maybe just give the nod there to Burn Rangers, a hesitant nod.
Right, yo. Any other business, lads, before we finish her up?
No, just interesting to see in terms of referees for the weekend and stuff. You mentioned the two Hickeys. I think both are unavailable through injury and whatever else. So, in terms of refereeing, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I know the county before were tight in terms of adult refereeing for adult referees for adult games. So it'll be interesting to see as the championship goes on what way things progress.
Lad from Waterford doing one of those intermediate games, I think.
Yeah, doing our game there. I think. Yeah.
Alan Cassan, I see the name was down for. Yeah.
The lads were saying there was a referee the game last year, a county game. Could have been in Carlow, and he was moving to Carlow, or he's living in Carlow, but he's not one of the lads that's refereeing the weekend now. The name didn't sound familiar. I've seen the two names around, but Gillespie and some other name, they're refereeing two of the games over the weekend. But this lad refereed, could be one of the Carlow League games, was it? I can't think of his name now. Someone said he's actually living in Carlow and he'll be refereeing in Carlow the next 2 years or next year or something. But he wasn't one to be seen.
Yeah,
you might get your wish. Yeah, Pat Moran will be back, Stevie.
Throw it in.
We lost 13 league games in the under 14 soccer, and Pat Moran appeared one day and we won. And we won again 2 weeks later.
That's all right. Conspiracy theory. No brown envelopes were mentioned in the making of that.
What I was going to say, I suppose Stevie and Furnace mentioned a couple of bereavements there today as well. Jim Conway, former teacher in the vocational school in Carlow, and he was secretary of the post-primary committee in Carlow as well, or second level schools committee as well, and got awarded for his work actually the year he retired out of school. He gave sterling service to sport, to GA, I suppose, in Carlow, and we would have saw him on the turnstiles as well over a good number of years as well. So he's gone to his return reward as well. So just to mention him anyway, you know, he was a man who worked tirelessly for the GA across every level, so, you know, club, county, everywhere, schools, everything. So just be nice to think of him and keep his family in our thoughts there this evening.
Yeah, Martin Doyle from Kildavin there. He was a publican in Dublin there for many years, and 1992 when we came back from Ruislip on the Monday, we ended up back in the Hawthorne in Swords, and we had a mighty day in it, and we come back to Carlow that night. But I think he could have been involved with supporters clubs down the year with Carlow. Definitely a great Carlow supporter. He passed away over the weekend there as well. Now, so condolences to. Just said, it's actually, we'll go back to Joe, to your own man dying last week, and the funeral and the wake and everything. You meet so many people at these things, and the topic you're always talking was GA. We're out, it's one thing we do right. Is we give people a good send off, and the two people mentioned there, Jim Connolly, Jim. If you had to get there, the work, his brother LV was chairman there for many years as well, and these are people, they're hard to replace too. And I said Martin Daly, I met him that day. I said I was only ever met him, but I was often involved in things after I heard of, and these names sound the stick with you, and we're a small county. We know everyone, as Joe says, it's often a team that works for advantage too, that we know everyone. Someone says, such a one, and then you say, oh, that lad, yeah, you might be able to say his name, but you know the face, and it's a sad week for them families as well. So we pass on the condolences.
Yeah, exactly. Lads, we'll leave it at that. We'll chat to you again next Monday at 9 p.m. Best luck to all our teams involved across the county over the next week or so. We'll do it all again. Then, Stevie and Joe, thanks a million. We'll chat to you. There we go. And just to mention our sponsors once more, DB Recovery. As we said, if you're a little bit sore or whatever, grand set up there, just down at the Barrow Valley Retail Park in where Dunn's is. Brendan Kavanagh Furniture. Again, Stevie's complimenting that great kitchen he got all those years ago, which is still standing the test of time. Good man, Brendan. Corcoran Precast, thanks with us from day dot, you could say. Again, thanks to Nolan and all the lads. Breege, Nolan Physiotherapy with us at the earlier part of this year, back again for the championship. Thanks again to Breege and Craig Kearney Web Design. As we said, our website hopefully will be launching in the next day or so. So stay tuned for that. Looking forward to bringing you all that great content. Until next Monday at 9 o'clock, all the best. Take care. Chat to you then.